Okay, guys, good morning. Welcome back. Hope you had a good break. Breaks are good, but not too good. You forget everything. Anyway, so I'm marking your midterm. Almost there, maybe 10 more to go. And I have sent out emails to a couple of you. I don't see the students here, so hopefully when they come, I can remind them. I wasn't able to mark a couple of assigned of exams just because I didn't have the right files. And then I had an email from Daniel.
Yeah.
What's wrong with yours? I forget.
When I first did it, the form wasn't loading. And when you came over,
Yes,
I
yes.
redid it,
Yeah.
but I sent the wrong file. And
Okay.
I didn't notice till I got home.
Okay, so what we can do is if you haven't touched that file,
I resent it.
you resent it back on Blackboard?
Yeah.
Okay,
And I was able to send it back in.
okay. So as long as the date is, and the date and the time are what it was that day, I will accept it. So you didn't do anything to them after the exam time,
No,
right?
literally I just sent it.
Okay, so as long as the date, it's date stamped correctly, I'll accept them. So the right files are on Blackboard now.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I'll mark that. I haven't reached you yet. I go by by name, and I think you're kind of
Okay.
somewhere down, right? So I haven't marked it yet. I know I had an email, but I didn't understand what you were trying to say. Okay, so I don't have to have anything from you. So just one more student, I think, and he's not here, and it will be done. Okay, so please log on to Blackboard and download from starting files, weekly learning, starting files, something called collections. Collections.zip, I think it is called. So what I've done is I've given you some incomplete UI, and I've also given you incomplete code, and we'll complete it today, right? And hopefully if we can do it on time, then there is an in-class that will be done in class today. Okay, so today's aim is we are going to work on collections. Basically, I'll be showing you how to put combo boxes and lists on a form and how to use them in code, right? So that's what the aim is today. Except that, seems like I have left them at home. Okay, doesn't matter. Okay, so if you have it, download it, and I'll do the same. I just need to pick it up from and put it in your projects. So I've started making folders more for myself just so that I don't have to rename everything. What are we doing? Okay, new. So we are week 8. Not counting the. So you will file a collections.zip on Blackboard. I'm almost positive I put it under weekly learning. Right, so weekly learning, class examples, start files, and it's called collections.zip. Once you have it, open it up, and we'll go from there. What I'll have to do is let me set it up for bless you. trying to set up. So hopefully it will go on the right place now. Okay, just give me a minute here. Oh, okay, so everybody ready? Downloaded it? Opened it? It should open in 2015. I had to just recreate it, and I'll tell you a few different things that I've done here just so that you know. Okay, so for this, that's an odd cursor that I have. Did I do something to my cursor? Seems like. Oh, I'm on. How do I escape it? Control C maybe. Come on. Okay, there it is. Okay, so what you see here, you've done this last week before you left for break. We know how to create menus, right? If you've forgotten, all you have to do is get a menu strip from your toolbar, and once you have your menu strip, you kind of just type it in. To save myself some work, and since this is also a known convention, for this particular project, I have used the convention where I place the type of the control at the end. So notice how this is called file tool strip menu item. I didn't change the names of my labels, just so that I didn't have to kind of change the names. If you remember, by default, whatever you type in a menu item, it's given the same name on here on your properties. Right? So just because I was being lazy, I thought I'll just use this convention. So for this project, I'm just going to use this convention. So again, I don't mind what convention you use, but as long as you're consistent in your assignment or your project or your exam, I'm good with it. So I have used two kind of conventions already in class. I have placed the control name at the beginning, right? And I've used a 3-lettered word. We always kind of look up what it is. So RDO for radio, TXT for text boxes, LBL for labels, FRM for forms, and so on. That's one convention I've used. I've placed that 3-lettered word. For tool strip menu item, it is actually 4. It is TSMI. So I've placed that at the beginning. The advantage is I can search quickly. So if I know it's a text box, I go TXT and then I get all my text boxes and I can kind of get to know which one. So that's the advantage of placing the control name before the actual name. That's an advantage. I find that as an advantage. If you don't like that 3-lettered words because they're confusing or you don't want to look them up, you have the option of placing the full name also in the front. For example, text box, whatever, label, whatever, right? And that also makes searching easy. In IntelliSense, it's easy. You start typing, you know it is a text box you're looking for, start typing text box and you'll see the list of your text boxes. So that's how it helps. That's how naming conventions help. That's one help we get. And of course, the second way they help are that there is consistency, programmers understand each other, code is easy to read, and so on. So using conventions is always good. I mean, it's something that you have to get into the habit of, right? And remember, I'm trying to make excellent programmers out of here. So please bear with me and follow convention. So whatever you like. In this one, as I said, I just stuck to this because it was too much work putting the TSMI in front or whatever. So whatever convention you use, it's up to you, but be consistent. Okay. And don't forget, if you forget what's the name, look it up, right? GitHub has all those 3-letter names. And if it is an exam and you can't look it up, ask me. What is the 3-lettered word for, say, form or radio buttons or whatever? So you aren't doing that too bad in that, at least in your midterm. Almost students are following conventions. Hardly people are missing it. And also keep in mind, you have to change the name of the form here too in your Solution Explorer. Whatever you change it here automatically changes everywhere. Now this I have seen is a lot of students are doing this discrepancy. They name it something else here and then name the form something else here in the bottom window, in the properties window. But I would like you to, again, be consistent in both. You're naming a form, name it here, and it will automatically, if you do a right click and name, it says, do I change it everywhere? And say yes. Okay, so that's a discrepancy. Definitely, I have noticed in at least 50% of what I have marked. So I haven't docked marks for it, but I've made a note saying be consistent in naming your form also. Okay, so what I've given you basically, if you see, the only time I wanted to save was basically create the menu for you, right? So I have created a menu for you. I have a file, and notice I have further menus too. So all you have to do, if you can go to whatever nesting level you want. So as soon as you click on it, you can start typing here. So I've created something for you. Of these, I have given you the print code already, just because it's very tedious. It's logical, but it's very tedious. So I'll go through the printing code at the end. I've already provided it to you in my code file. As I said, just because it's too tedious, nothing else. In the edit, all these operations, add coffee flavor, remove coffee flavor, clear coffee list, count coffee list, we'll do today. We'll do this. So what are we doing? We are going to work with the combo box. We are going to work with the list, and we are going to learn how to manipulate them, how to use them. Okay. And then in the help, there is an about. So let's start from the opposite. The first job I would like you to do is, I would like you to create the about form for me. And you can use the template if you like. And if you've forgotten, there is a template there. You can use that and fill in the assembly information. So do that for me with me, please. I'm just trying to open up something here. And while you do it, I'll kind of find what I need from here. There it is. Oh no, I thought I put it here. That's strange that I don't find it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, so shall I refresh your memories, or are we good? How do you add a form? You go project. I mean, there are various ways of doing it. You could have gone to Solution Explorer, right clicked and do an add. I find this just to be easy. I go add Windows form. I go and look for the about box. Now you have an option. You can create a form from scratch using your Windows form, or you can use a template, which is called the about box, right? So I go to about box. I don't like its name a lot, but I'll say something like about form. Remember, this time I'm using my convention. I'm putting the name of the control at the end. So I'm calling it about form and do an add. What happens is you get an about form, right? Which kind of has a picture, which has a product name, a version, a copyright, a company name, and a description. And these are all labels. Look at it. They're all labels. So notice that's another convention. So here they're using the convention where they're putting the name of the control right in the beginning. So you can do that too. It's up to you. Now I don't want to mix and match, but I won't change it. So here they are. So that's another one. And this is a text box. This is a text box with its multi-line property set to true. Multi-line means you have more than one lines. By default, a text box has it as false. You only see one row, but this is a text box in which the multi-line property has been set to true. There's a multi-line property. Look it up. It's right here. Multi-line M. There it is. It has been set to true, right? The smart tag. This is called the smart tag. If you want to do something like, you see there's a multi-line here too. If I unclick it, it will go back to this. If I click it, it gets a bigger. Yes. About, you go to project, add Windows form, and then go to about box. Okay. Now for the image, since if I have a coffee image, I'll just use it. Do I have one in this project? No, doesn't seem like. Okay, so let's get one. Okay, so for this image, let's go to image. let's try to get a project resource file. So don't say local resource, because if you say local resource, you're trying to pick it up from your lab, from your environment, and I won't be able to see it when you pass the project to me. So always see that you give me your images, whatever you need in your project. So we'll go project resource file and we'll import it. I have a coffee image, I know. I think I remember I had put one in your, there it is. So get some, it's just a R&R for, I'm just getting a coffee image, right? And if it doesn't look like it looks, it kind of looks a little skewed, but you can always increase the size of your picture box or whatever. And also you can the size mode, I've set the size mode to stretch image. Notice there were few. You can say normal. I don't know how normal will look. You can say zoom if you like. Let's see if zoom looks better. Doesn't take up everything, but that's the zoom. That's its normal size, except that it's just not coming. The auto size, of course, we don't want to do. So I've gone with stretch image. Doesn't look the best. And as I said, you can always change the size of the picture image of the picture. Okay. Okay. Now, do you remember where this information is coming from? All this information about the product name, version, copyright, company name. Anybody remember from before study week? From where does it pull its information when you run it? Nobody, guys? Can't forget in 2 weeks, can you? I know you can. Everybody can. Okay. So this information, now if you had created your own form, it was entirely up to you what you wanted to do. Put a picture box, and here also you can delete it. It's not necessary that you show everything that's here. So you can create your own about form. But you know what? When template is available, why make that extra effort? Now to fill in this information, now these are just labels. So if you like, you can go here and you can change the text here too. But for your information, this information by default is being pulled from the assembly information. You'll say, how do you know? I know because if I view the code of this file, see, it says assembly.product, assembly.version, and assembly. So this is being pulled from somewhere. This information is being pulled from somewhere. So if you want to kind of change it, then you'll have to change the text there and it will automatically change it if you don't want to pull it from there. Or the other option is pull it from where it is supposed to pull. So go to project, go to collection properties, the name of your project and properties, go to assembly information and fill it in here. Okay, and fill it in here. So basically this project is about, we are ordering a coffee and the syrup we need with it, and that's it. We are not doing much. We are not doing any calculations at all because you've already learned how to do all that. So I'm kind of only concentrating on using a combo box and list here. So for the title, you can give something like what we've been using, the name of the company or the store or whatever. Right, the name now. So this is the title. This title will automatically come in your title bar. It will automatically come in your title bar. So it's the name of your, it's just the name of your store or whatever you would like to call it. Okay, like your Tim Hortons. Okay, so the company here is just the company about you, like the people who have made the application. So I'm just going to call it AKC Limited. Right, the product name is called collections, kind of odd. So maybe what is the product called? It's an application for coffee and syrup. So I'm just going to say coffee and syrup selection application. Right, that's the name of your product. Copyright looks okay to me. You can change the assembly version if you like. The rest is okay. Oh, the description, right? Yes. How did I find that? Project. In the project, at the end, last one, you will see properties of your project. The last entry, right? And in that entry, when you open it, you will see this window that you see, and then click on assembly information. Okay, so the about box automatically draws its information from this assembly information. So you could change it if you like, nothing stops you. You can just change it and it will take the text that you give, but I've just chosen. I mean, you should just know how to do it. So what is it align? This application allows the user to select coffee and syrup flavors. Let's not say, let's say select coffee and syrup flavors, right? That's what this application allows you to do. And again, you have the option of, it allows or printing of the selected or all flavors can be done. You can also do that, right? So this description should be grammatically correct. Please see that if you don't know how to do it, put it in Word and then kind of paste here. Sentences start with a capital letter, and there should be no spelling errors, right? So the description just says this application allows the user to select coffee and syrup flavors. Printing of the selected or all flavors can be done. That's what this application does, right? And we'll do an OK. And we'll do a save. And we can close this now. Right. So this information will automatically, so notice how it is, the title is being drawn, the product is being drawn, the assembly version, which we didn't change, the copyright, the company name, and the description. So they're all being drawn from here. So since they're being drawn from here, I kind of put them there. So you won't see it right now, but when you run the application, there is where the information is being drawn from. So that's one option. Just use the about box template and fill in the information. Right. It's up to, like, as I said, it's entirely up to you. Okay, now let's try to see whatever this is. So let's go back. Now, how do I now connect that about form to my about here? Double click on your about. So notice something again, I've already given you code and I would like you to, there are some errors because controls are missing. Don't worry about that. One thing that I've kind of seen missing in maybe, I don't know, maybe 25% of exams was purpose, right? Please ensure that the purpose of your code of your application is clear and neat. I want it neatly written, right? I don't want you to say midterm exam. I don't want you to say an application that is showing what I've learned in class. I don't want you to say showing my skills to Anju, nothing. That's not what I'm interested in. The purpose of the application is what is your application doing, right? So notice what I've said. To allow the user to select coffee and syrup flavors, I put that in description too. New coffee flavors can be added and old ones removed. So you're able to add coffee flavors, you're able to remove them. The entire coffee list can be cleared. I'm just showing you different functions available in the combo box. That's what we've done. And number of coffee flavors can be displayed. How many coffee flavors are available? Oops, I don't know what. I think there, and can print all available coffee flavors and only selected ones too. So that's the purpose. And you had 4 marks for your commenting in midterm exam. So this was 1 mark. Your name, your date, and purpose was 1 mark. And then you had 4 methods, I think. And I wanted to see a small comment, maybe a simple one. Exit. This method closes the form. This method clears and puts the form back in the default state. Just one statement will do in small methods. The main method, the convert or the calculate or whatever, the main method needs a functionality comment. What does it do? And wherever you can, put comments. So selecting, so yours was Wednesday. So you did currency converter, right? So converting from Canadian to US and so on. Comments. So purpose is something that I found kind of missing or incomplete in many, but the others were still okay. So again, I've been lenient just because, I mean, it's not as if you haven't written anything at all, but keep in mind that good programmers will always comment their code, always. It's not about you understanding what you've done. It's about the others in your group understanding what you've done. And you will never work alone in the computer world. Believe me, never. You'll never be working alone on a project. You will always be working in groups. And it is appreciated that you write your comments. So we are not saying adding this to this. I mean, we don't want silly comments. We are not cluttering our code with comments. We want to see comments just where they are needed. So it's very important. And I mean, in class assignments, I don't pay a lot of attention just because, you know what, I'm just seeing what they're doing. But commenting is important. And I do it all the time with you guys, right? So I would like you to keep that in mind, that it is important. So, I mean, 4 marks is not a small, I mean, 4 out of 40 is 10%. So I've given you 10% for commenting. So keep that in mind, right? So I've given you, again, I'm going to mark I'm going to comment, and I'm expecting you to comment for me. So what I've done is I've kind of given you code for print and so on, which we'll talk about when I do the other things. And I know there are some errors here because these controls don't exist. As soon as they start existing, we'll be fine. So kind of ignore them for now. And then I'll fill them when I need to. Okay. Okay, so let's start. This is what we did. Okay, so what does this do? What does the about tool strip menu do? It shows the information about the application and the company. Or we can just say about the application. That's all I need. For small methods, I'm okay. This much is enough. Just a functionality. What does it do? That's all. I'm not looking for something great or big in small methods. Okay, so what do I do? How do I show that form on the screen now? It's just a form. Keep in mind, I've just used a template just to make my life a little easy, but it's just a form. What do I do? Help me out. How do you show the form? Object-oriented programming. I have a class called aboutform.cs. I have a class. I want to create an object of that class and show it on the screen. Right? Okay, so do it. What was it called? It was called about form. Create, I don't know what you would like to call it. We'll just say information. We'll go new about form. Remember, what are we calling? We are calling the constructor. Every class has a default constructor that does not take any parameters. Every class. Every form that you create behind the scenes, and again, you can look at it. It's not a big deal at all. Behind the scenes, if you look at it, it will have a constructor. There it is. I'm calling this constructor. Right? I'm calling this constructor, and it initializes a component. Now, what's that initialize component? Again, to refresh your memories, the initialize component is this method here. Where are you? Right? It's this method here. Here it is. It's in the designer file, and you're basically calling this. And that's the one that is laying out everything for you. So they've used a table layout. They've used a layout panel also. We haven't talked about panels, but panel is again another container, right? Like a group box, it's a container. So everything is kind of where it should be. So, I mean, nothing is out of the blue. So keep that in mind, right? So the about form already has a constructor, and all I'm doing here is I'm calling that constructor. Where are we? There you are, right? And now all I have to do is show it on the screen. Remember, there were two methods. There was a show and there was a show dialog. The difference between the two, the show was the show method. When you use the show method, the form will come up on the screen and does not require a response from the user. You'll say, oh, I've seen it, and then you can keep working on other forms. But if you use show dialog, you have to respond to the form. The form may have an OK button, a close, whatever it is, but you have to respond to it. Unless you do that, it won't budge, right? So let's try show dialog, and I'll show you the difference. Which one do you use? It's entirely up to you. If it was something that was showing me help how to use my application, I would use show. I want to keep it open. It's somewhere there. I want to keep it open so that every time I don't have to go to help about. But if this is my about is only showing me the name of the company and what does the application do, it's just a about form. It's not a help thing. It's not basically a manual. I need to close it. Then I'll say show dialog and I'll close it right away. Okay, so that's what you do in about. Let's try if it works. That's all you have to do, nothing else. So go back to your design. Oh, so sorry, go and run your code. And we've only written about yet, nothing else. Oh, build it. Oh yeah, I have build errors. Of course I have build errors. No, so for now, of course I have build errors. So I'm going to comment out the code that I've given you for now, because we know there are build errors. So where does it start? These build errors, they start here. Bless you. I'll comment it out there. So now I don't have any build errors. So I've commented out what I gave you. I've just this, right? Because they do have comment errors. Let's start. Still? Does not.
You have like quick events defined or something like that.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Oh God, too much. Yeah, I think I've already connected them in design. Of course, I've connected them in design. Okay, so we'll have to do, that's a lot of work, I think. But anyway, till it works, we have to do it, right? Let's go back to design.
There's one more. I think.
One more?
I saw at least one more on the next block.
The click, yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
And do you see any more?
Two more there. The print off labels to menu strip item.
Many prints.
No, hold on.
No, I don't see any. I don't see any click.
Right below that one.
Below that one? Oh, there it is. You're right.
And then another one below that one.
Yeah, another one, right? I mean, I've already linked them, right? Anything else you see? I think we're okay. Let's try that. Let's go back to design. We are good here. Oh, not of the about, the design of the Oh, there's another one seems like. I don't want to remove it from my I could do it another way, but this is easier, then I'll uncomment. I mean, it's not easy, but anyway. Are we okay now? No, still one more. There must be 6 actually. Oh yeah, there will be 6. I think I'm missing one more. Yeah, good. Okay. So I could have done this. I could have gone here in all of these, and in their events, I could have just removed it from here. So this one. Oh, now they're removed because I've commented them out, right? I could have done this. I could have removed them from here. I just thought that was much easier because then I can uncomment it. So I'll uncomment it afterwards, though I don't remember what I did. But anyway, right now let's run it. Hopefully no build errors now. So this is all occurring. So don't bother if you don't want to, but this is what will happen. When I do an about, that's show dialog. Oops. I can't do anything else, right? I can. That's the show dialog. You have to respond to it. That's the difference between show dialog and dialog. So that's what's coming up. So notice how it says coffee and syrup selection application. The version number I didn't bother to change. The copyright I didn't bother to change. That's the name of my company. This application allows the user to select coffee and syrup flavors. Printing of the selected or all flavors can be done. There is more work. I just realized we can add and so on, but I've kind of completed this. And now when you respond to it, you're back to your form, right? So that's the about form. So you should know how to create forms in your code. You should know that, right? We did a splash screen also last week before we left. So if I have time today, I'll kind of refresh your memories again, but you can create whatever forms you like, and then you can link them. So till now we haven't linked them, and we'll learn how to link. Splash screen and about are basically not linked to the logic. They're just standalone forms, but you may need to require to go from one form to another in an application, and then maybe pass data between one another. There are different ways of doing it. We'll learn it when the time comes. Okay, so we've done our about form. Okay, so now let's go ahead and start doing our design. What I want you to do is I want you to get a combo box to your form. So please look for a combo box, double click on it, bring it kind of below your coffee flavor, right? So what is a combo box? We are all aware what a combo box is. A combo box will allow you to select one of the items from a given list. It's a list. It's a list that is already available in C#. All you have to do is you just have to know how to use it. Okay, so let's look at some properties that I would like you to pay attention to. 1. Notice that the combo box has an array called items. It's basically a collection, right? It's a collection. If you open this ellipse up here, it says, okay, what do you want to enter here? What do you want here? Do you want to enter the flavors here? And you can if you like, right? So you can choose the flavors. Just to save myself time, just because it's just easy, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a project that I've already done, okay? Just so that I can copy and paste. So this is an old one. I'm just copying and pasting. Okay, we know that. Maybe this will just take more time. So, and of course you can do it, but you'll have to write it yourself, but at least I'll save myself time. So in my combo box, I have this items. I'm going to do a Control C here, and I'm going to go back to and I'm going to go Control V here. So what I've done is I've put some flavors into my combo box, right? So you can do whatever you like. I just copied and pasted because it was easy. So just enter some flavors into the combo box. So notice what did I do? There is a collection. A collection is basically, from your programming experience, a collection is a group, right? So collections, all of the same type. So the array, by the default array or collection, let's not call it an array. Behind the scenes, it's a collection. Collection means it's dynamic. You can put whatever, you can add, you can delete. So it grows in size, it compresses in size. So it's a dynamic collection. The default collection for a combo box is called items, right? So keep that in mind, because when we use it, I'll have to say, what was the name of the collection? So it's called items. So if you want, you can start with an empty collection. You don't have to put anything in it. But for my application, I want to have some flavors in my combo box. So I just kind of put it. So put one entry at a time into your items collection. If you want, you can make it sorted too. I'll just look at it. So just fill it in. Whatever flavors you like, just fill it in. So this I've populated my combo box and do an OK. Right? So this is my items. This is called items. Keep that in mind. You can decrease the item height, you can increase it, whatever, it depends on you. Right? Another thing that is important that I would like you to pay attention to is the drop down style of a combo box. Now look a few things. I'm going to change it and see what changes. If I say simple, that's how it looks. Right? So it's basically simple says you can only see one entry at a time. Like it doesn't have that arrow, the drop down. So we don't want the simple. There is a drop down, right? So drop down means you will see this arrow. Okay, I'll show you when it runs. And then there is a drop down list. The difference is, if you notice how your text box has grayed out. So you cannot enter anything into the text box. So let me show you all three, one at a time. I've chosen drop down list. I'm going to run it. When I choose a drop down list, I can choose something from here, but I cannot type anything in my text box. That's a drop down list. Okay, so I can't do it. I can just choose from the list. That's drop down list. If I change this drop down list to just drop down, notice the difference. You can actually type into the text box also. That's the difference. Of course, you can choose from here too. Okay, so that's a drop down. That's the difference between a drop down and a drop down list. Third, let's try simple. And let's run it again. Right, so now kind of, you know what, like I'll have to kind of remember. I think there was one called, like I can't see it. It's just one box. It's useless for me. Like it doesn't make sense. Of course, you can increase the size and you can see the items, but simple is something you will hardly ever use. So that was for your information. So for me, since I want to use the nature of typing in, I want to add a new flavor, so I should be able to type it in. I have used a drop down style is drop down. So if you only want to choose from a combo box, you will use drop down list. If you want to choose as well as add something in your text box, you will use drop. Right? So that's another thing that I would like you to kind of remember. So I've changed the drop down style to, I don't know what it was, but I've set it to drop down. I've already filled in my items selection. My job is done. Under the syrup, I would like you to put another kind of collection, which is called a list. So look for a list now. It's called a list box. Here it is. Just showing you a different collection. There. You could have chosen a combo box. Nothing stops you. But as I said, just showing you a different collection. Right? So again, let's look at it again. The list box again is a collection, and its collection is again called items. So if you would like to put something in this collection, and I'll again do a little bit of cheating because I already have it. Am I in the right one? Yes. Go to its items and I'll paste it. So just put some. So I've said none, chocolate, hazelnut, Irish cream, and orange. And notice how I've put none in brackets. The reason of putting none in brackets is when I sort it, I think it's sorted by default. I'll check. The copy paste is, I just put it here, but you can always sort it. You don't have to bother about how you put your items. You can always make it sorted for the user. Remember, human beings always work better with sorted lists. Putting none in brackets will put it as the first when I sort it, because brackets have the lowest priority. So it will come at the first one. It's easy to see.
Sorry, question about the combo box. Did you put none at the top of that list as
No,
well,
no,
or
no,
does it
no,
need to be
no.
there?
Syrup, you always have to select a coffee flavor. For syrup, you don't have to. So I put none,
Fair enough.
right? So none is put in brackets so that when I sort the list, it automatically will come at the top, because brackets always have lower priority than all your letters. So like since I copied and pasted, I didn't bother to change it, but they are by default HIJ, they're already in sort, but you don't have to put it in sorted order. If you want them in sorted order, when it comes up, the property is called sorted. So I mean, it's false, but you can make it true. So it will automatically come sorted. For me, I'm okay because my list is already sorted, but I will always make it sorted because humans work very well with sorted lists. So none will now come at the top. So if you don't have to select any syrup, it's just easy to select the first option. Okay. And you can do that here too. You can go to your combo box and you can go to this sorted property. And I think mine is already sorted, but again, we can make it true. There. So now when you run it, I don't know how you've put it, but now when you run it, notice they're already sorted, and notice these will also be sorted. C, D, J, K, and B. Right? That's just easy. And if you wanted to select something like vanilla, start typing vanilla, V. That's one way, but the other way is selecting it from here. And I think I'll have to code it to kind of select it. Yeah, I'll have to code it. It's not just, it won't do it automatically. Right? So both my collections are ready. They're fine. Now let's do this now. I want to add a new coffee flavor. I should be able to remove a coffee flavor. I should be able to clear the coffee list completely, and I should be able to count how many flavors are available. Right now, I'm only doing it with my combo box, but whatever I'm doing with the combo box automatically can also be done with the list box. Right? It's just the same thing. I don't want to repeat code. I'll show you how to do it. I just didn't add it because I'm just repeating stuff. So if you want it, you can add it afterwards. So I'm only working with the coffee flavors just to show you how to do it, and the same thing will apply to your coffee flavors. Okay. Okay. So nothing else works yet, but that's what it is. And you can select whatever you want. That's how you select from a list box. Okay. Okay, so now let's start. So we'll do the printing afterwards, right? Oh, exit. Let's write exit. Exit is an easy one. So double click on your exit, and let's say close the application, or terminate the application, or close the form, whatever you would like to say. So since I'm terminating it, and you can do a few things. You can say this dot close. When you close the only last form, it also closes the application, terminates it. Or if you remember, we were doing application dot exit. Was it exit? Yes, I think it was. There it is. So whatever you want to do, both work the same way. The closing of forms will become more handy or more useful when I have multi-forms. There it will be more important to pay attention to, am I closing it? Am I terminating the application? Then you have to be careful, because you don't want to terminate the application in a multi-form if you're closing a form further, maybe the 4th or the 5th form, and your application still needs to run. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so that's done. Now let's start. Uh-oh. You know what? Let me close this. I'll open it again when I need it. Okay, so let's start. Let's double click on add coffee flavor. You know what? Let me give you a little more breathing space here. Make it a little bigger. There, better? I think that's good. Otherwise, if it's too much, then I'm not able to put the code. Okay, so let's see what we want to do in the add coffee flavor. So this method will add a new coffee flavor. Oops. If it already does not exist. The coffee list. You can call list. List is a common word. It's not necessarily a tech word. Like we know it is, but the general public list is a list. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying something like stack or queue or array. I'm just saying to add a coffee flavor to the coffee list if it does not exist. That's the functionality of this method. So please see that you put a functionality comment at the beginning of a method. Okay, so now I'll need some local variables. Another thing that you have to keep in mind. It was in your exam too. Right kind of variables at the right place. If you need to use it throughout your code, or maybe in 3-4 methods or 2 methods, whatever it is, make it module level. If you need to use it only in a method, please make it local. And again, there were marks for it. I'm trying to draw your attention to these small details in programming because they're important. They are important. Right? So again, there were marks, not too much, but again, 5% marks were there. And most of you did well. Most of you did well because you copied and pasted the code I had written, and that's how you went. But that's fine. You were thinking about it. 2, some of you have used double for currency amounts, right? I would stick with decimal whenever you're working with monetary values. So there is nothing wrong in float or double. I said real, you just used float and you used double. But again, keep in mind, whenever you're working with monetary values, go with decimal because it's the most precise real representation. So again, I haven't docked marks for it because you're thinking double, then that's fine. But just for your information. Okay. Okay. So let's add a coffee flavor. And when I'm adding a coffee flavor, I want to use some local variables. And the local variables I'll be using is a Boolean one. We haven't used a Boolean yet. Variables are written in camel case, right? Camel case convention is used for variables. For constants, how is a constant different from a variable? You use a reserved keyword constant with it. What it says is that you cannot change the value of that constant in your code. So it is different from a variable. I could change the value of this variable item found to true to false whenever. But if I make it a constant and I say it is true, I can change it. So again, I had said, please use named constants in your code. I don't want to see any magic numbers, 1.32, 0.76. I don't want to see these magic numbers. Call them something like current rate or whatever. But don't forget the word constant with it, the keyword. Some of you did do it. You declared them as constants, but you forgot the constant keyword. They are then variables. They are not constants. But I still gave partial marks for it. You are thinking. You are saying, oh, she wants us to give it a name. Let me give it a name and use that name in my code, right? So this is not a constant. So I'm not putting the constant keyword with it, but it's just a Boolean variable. If you want, you can initialize it to something. I need to start with false. But if you don't have to. Local variables by default are not initialized to anything. They have garbage in them, okay? I need another one for my loop. I mean, I don't have to. Okay, so what's the logic now? The first thing I have to do is before I add a coffee flavor, I want to check if it already exists. So the logic is go through your items collection. Look if you have that coffee flavor. If you have it, tell the user cannot add. If you don't have it, add it to your array. That's all you have to do. So that's why I need that Boolean variable. And that's why I need that index integer, because I'll kind of go through my loop. So we've already done our control statements for decision making. Remember at that point of time, I said I won't do the loops yet because I don't need to, but I'll start using them whenever I start my collection. So let's look at this now. Okay, so let's start. What am I saying? I need to add a new coffee flavor. So where will you be adding the coffee flavor? In the text box of your combo box. That's where you will be adding a flavor. And then you will say hit, then you will hit the add coffee flavor. So the first thing I have to check is, did you give me something to add? Is your text box not empty? So that's the first thing I have to check. So let's see if the user has provided or given . Okay, so let's do an if, right? So what does if say? If says you check if something has been given. Oh, before I do that, I just remembered. Please go to your coffee combo box, open up the properties, and please change its name to coffee combo box. Right? Remember, can't work with controls that don't have good names. We've already said that. So please change it to coffee combo box. I'm trying to change, please change to this because notice how in my code, I've used it. Now I can't see those red squiggly lines. Somewhere you will see, there it is. It's called syrup list box for the syrup and it's called coffee combo box for the coffee. So please see that you name them so that you don't have problems in my code, okay? Okay, so do that. And for your list box, please do the same. And please call it syrup list box. Notice I'm again using camel case convention in my naming. Okay, there we are. Now come back to your code. Okay, so we were doing an if statement. Okay, here we are. So if your coffee combo box, now you have it. So if your coffee combo box text property, you have given something in the text, dot text, dot, I'm going to trim it. Just what does the trim function do? The trim function will remove any extra blanks at the beginning or the end, leading or trailing. It will remove it. So maybe you went for whatever reason, the user went blank, 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 and then gave a coffee flavor and blank, blank. I'm just removing it. Trim only removes from the sides, not from the middle. From the middle, we don't want to remove it, but I'm just saying if you have extra blanks at the corners. Okay, so trim it. Right? So I'm saying if your text is not empty, so trimming will just do there. You can, if you like, use the double quotes without anything. That's up to you. It's really, I just like to use the there so that I don't forget. I'll just say add coffee. At least I know what I'm doing. So if it is not empty, and if it is empty, what will I do? I'll give a message to the user. So let's just do it. Right? Messages are always good. Don't forget, messages are always good. If we don't, we kind of, it's not, I mean, it's user friendly to give messages. So any good error message will do, please. So you can say whatever you like. I mean, you can say it was not provided or whatever. And so let's put it. Remember your message box.show. So any good message will do. So I have said in my exam also, I said I want to see good, appropriate error messages for each problem. Your field is blank. It has non-numeric data. There is an overflow problem. You're giving a negative value and separate error message. Or if all I see is input string is not in the right format, how helpful is that? It's useless, right? So again, I do it and I expect you to give a good, think you are the user and you're using your code. If you see a message like input string is not in the right format or input is wrong, something is wrong with your input, how helpful is that? Nothing. But if you see something like the currency, the amount, not the currency is the unit, right? The amount should be a positive number. The amount is missing. The amount should be numeric in nature. Then it's helpful. Then I exactly know what you're saying. Okay. So see that you have proper messages. So say, please enter a coffee flavor to add. You can, remember, we can put a title. Always good. We'll say missing data. We can put I'll go to a different line. Give an OK button. Yeah, what else can you give? And then the last was the icon. And what is this? It could be an error. You could give an error. You could give an, I don't know, exclamation mark. You could give a, maybe exclamation is good enough. Because more than an error, it's saying, oh, what did you do? Right? And don't forget to put the focus back. So where were we? Coffee combo box. Dot focus. Always good. Like these are small things, but very user friendly. Okay, so we've done that. So at least we know that we've done that. Okay, so now let's come back here. Right, so now you're saying it is not equal to empty. So my first thing is, does it already exist? First, find out. Before adding, find out, does it already exist? So let's find that out now. Okay, so to do that, notice how I just put small comments just to tell you what I'm doing. And that's all I expect from you too. That's all I want to do, right? Okay. Okay, so here is our logic. We have to go through the list, check if what you've given me is already there, and kind of set it to false. Okay, so let's use a loop now. The while loop says while this condition is true, right? That's what it is. So I kind of, let me put it here. What do you want to do? There are two cases you want to stop. One, you want to stop if you found it. Why should you search the whole list if you found it at the second position, for example? Or you didn't find it, but you reached the end of the list. So there are two conditions under which you have to stop. Either you found it, you stop, or you finish the list and there is nothing else to find. So both conditions. So let's write it. So while it was called item found, right? So I'm saying item found is false. So I start with item found is false. So I say while item found and that's your and. Okay. So I'm saying two conditions. So I'm saying while my item is not found. So let's use the not operator. While my item is not found and I have not reached the end of the list. And how will you say that? Your item index, there it is. Your item index is less than. Right now, how do I know how many elements in the combo box? I don't know. I don't know how many you added. So is there something that is available? Sure, there is. So take your coffee combo box, take your collection in it, use the count to find how many there are. Okay. And there it is. So now look at the loop. You're saying while I have not found my item. In other words, it's saying while the item found is false. When you use not item found, you're basically saying item found is false. And that's why I initialized it to false. So I'm saying while it is not found, keep on going. That's one. And I'm saying that the value of my index is less than my count. I'm saying less than count because indexing starts from 0 and goes on till count minus 1. Like any other programming language in arrays, kind of, right? In collections. Okay, what do you want to do? You want to check. So everybody understood the loop? The loop has a compound condition. And the beauty of this AND is if it checks the first condition, if the first condition is false, false means you have an AND here. And if the first condition is false, it doesn't even bother checking the second condition. It says, oh, my first condition is false. I don't even have to check the second condition. So how you put your conditions is also important, especially when you use these short circuit operators, they are called. So there's short circuit. The beauty of short circuit is it says I'll check my compound condition, and as soon as I know the truthfulness or the falseness, I'll stop. Why should I bother searching? Right? Why should I say check the other conditions? And you can use the single AND. There is the single AND also, which is a normal AND, will check every condition and then decide, oh, are you true or are you false? Definitely we don't want to do that. Okay, so now so we again need an if. Right, I have to set this item found to true if I find it. So now check again. So if your coffee combo box dot text dot, I'm converting everything to upper to be on the safe side, okay? Because you could be giving any combination of small and upper, and I'm just checking, are you already there? So these small things are just being done so that we take care. Okay, so if the text that you've put, I've converted into, oh, you know what? I should be trimming it too. Does it matter if I trim it or if I don't trim it? Yeah, it does. Okay, so trim it too, please. And then convert it to an upper, right? So I've taken the text from the combo box, I've trimmed it, I've converted it to all upper. You could have done to lower also, it doesn't matter. And then I'm going to compare it with the item in the list. So you already have that item index. You already have that position. How will you compare it? Take your coffee combo box. In the coffee combo box, take your items collection. And in the items collection, add the position item index. Familiar? The square brackets are used for arrays. It's an index value you're giving. They're also used for lists, any kind of collection, array list and everything, right? So actually in C# you have an array list, you have the generic list, you have queue, you have stack, and many collections that are available in C# also. So this is just a list. It's a generic list behind the scenes. So that index, that square brackets is just saying at what position. Take it. It's an object that gets returned, convert it into a string, and then convert it into an upper. And then, oh, forgot my square round brackets. That's why it didn't come up. And then convert it to an upper. So let's see if you can, let's reduce it a little so that you can see it together. Okay, so what have I done? I have said, take whatever the user has given in the text, trim it, convert it to upper, and now compare it with the current item that you are now at. How to find the current item? Take your combo box, take its collection. The collection was called items. At the position item index, take it's an object. Items is a collection of objects. I have to convert it into a string because I'm comparing text, which is a string, to a string, right? Remember, text is string, so convert to string to upper so that I can make a comparison. Cases don't matter. And then if it is equal, that means I found it, right? If it is equal, I've found it. So if I have found it, let me make that item found. Where are you? Item found to true. And I'll come out of the loop. I do not want to see any breaks or go-to statements in your code, please. You can always give your condition right in the while to come out of the while. So I don't want you to kind of miss this and then say, if item found is to break. I don't want you to do it, please. Break is not a good, Java has it, C# has it, but break is not a good statement to use. Break means come out of the loop. So why is it not good to use? Because it takes the attention of the user or the programmer somewhere else, and it's confusing. So for that reason, you should always aim for go to less programming. In your code, don't jump from one point to another by just saying break or continue or stuff like that. Right? So I'll avoid it. I want you to avoid it. It's not a good programming practice to use break statements. So automatically it will come out. See, there is a while loop. In the while loop, item found is true. It will come out of the loop. I'm done. Right? Now my aim is, did I find it or did I not find it? So did you find it? How will you find out if you found it? If flavor was found, that means your variable was true, right? So if you found it, don't say is equal to true. With Boolean variables, start just putting, like just checking if item found, if not item found. I don't want you to write if item found is equal to true. Avoid. With Boolean variables, start avoiding. Similarly, when you're checked properties of your radio buttons, don't say if radio button dot checked is equal to true. Just say if radio button dot checked, right? I mean, it's not wrong to say is equal to true. It's just an overkill, I think. It's too much. Like, it doesn't make sense. Okay. So if you found it, oh, I forgot to do this. If I don't do this, I'm in a infinite loop. Never come out of it. So remember that if you found it good, make it true, else go to the next element. Only then will that other second condition become true ever. Otherwise, I'll be stuck on the first one. So you can say item index is equal to item index plus 1 if you like. You can say plus item index if you like. In a single statement, the plus doesn't matter where you write it. It's when you use it and put it in when you use it in an assignment statement, that is where it matters. Okay, so if the item was found, then of course I cannot add it. Let's show a message box. Let's tell the user you cannot do it. You cannot add a duplicate flavor. Makes sense? You can't add it. It doesn't make sense. It cannot be added. We'll give it a heading. Add failed, something like add failed. We'll give it a message box OK button. And we'll give it an icon, whatever you like. Today, I think I'm going with exclamation marks. Let's go with exclamation. There it is. And don't forget to bring your focus back to your coffee combo box. Right, so if the flavor was found, you can't add it. Else add it. Notice how even when I have a single statement in my if or when else's, I put my curly brackets. They're not required. If you have a single statement, it's not required. But it is good programming practice to put your code of ifs and else's or whiles, even if they contain a single statement, in curly braces. It's just a good programming practice, but it is not required. So I didn't need this curly braces actually. I didn't even need these ones because there is only one statement under else. I don't even need these ones because there is only one statement under it. But it is a good programming practice and I'll stick to it. So if you're reading the book, those guys in the book don't follow this practice. It's confusing in the sense that I could be indenting my code and kind of appear that something else is added to my. So to avoid any kind of problems, it's just better to do this way. Else, let's add the flavor. And how do you add it now? Let's see. How do you add a flavor to a list? Right? It is as simple as this. Take your coffee combo box. In your items collection, use add. Something recollecting from array list in Java? You have an add method, and so you have an add method here also. What do you want to add? You want to add what the user had typed it in your text box, remember? So take your coffee combo box, take the text, and let's kind of trim it. And we are not converting it into upper or anything here. I'm just trimming it so that I don't put extra blanks. Otherwise, the flavor gets added as per se, however the user has put it. And I want to now clear my text box. So that text box, you can go coffee combo box dot text. And again, as I said, you can do this also, though you can say string.empty also. So I'll kind of use a combination that you can see. My coffee flavor gets added, hopefully. Right? Let's see if it works. Let's save it. Let's give it a shot. The rest are much easier, but anyway. Okay, so these are my coffee flavors. Notice something. Notice how my blue mountain is not visible. So I'll have to increase the size of my combo box. As soon as I saw it. Okay, so let's try to add something like unjuice flavor. Of course, it's not present. Unjuice special. Okay, so let's try to add it. So I've put unjuice special in the text box, and I'll say edit, and I'll say add the coffee flavor. You'll say, was it added? I didn't get an error message. And there it is. Of course, when you run it again, it won't be there. Remember, it's a dynamic list. It's what are lists? They're just created in memory. And then when the program closes, application closes, there they go. So we'll learn how to put them in files in future. But right now, that's all I'm doing. Try to add something that's already there. I'm going to copy it as per se from here so that I don't make any mistake. So I chose espresso roast, and I'm going to say add my flavor. And it's going to say duplicate flavor cannot be added. And it won't be added. Make sense? Now let's try the third one. Remember how we had the empty. If you don't give a flavor and you say add a flavor, it will say enter a coffee flavor to add. Notice the error messages, guys. They're so clean, neat, and clear. Input is missing. I have no idea what you're saying. Like, I have to know what you're saying. And it is very important from a user point of view to think what the user wants, right? And you know what? It will pay off. It will pay off. When you do stuff the right way, it just pays off in the long run. I don't know. Hopefully someday you will learn. I'm sure you will. And some of you already know it. So it's working. My ad is working, right? And there is unjuice flavor. And notice, why did it come at the head? Because remember I said my list is sorted. Try to add something else. Let's try to add something like YY. Notice how it went to the last of the list. UVWXYZ. So sorted helps you. So making it sorted will take care that it is always sorted when you run it. Right? So definitely my combo box is a smaller size. These are okay. They're all visible, but this is not a good one. Okay, so let's close this. So add is working. Let's go back to your design. Let's go to your coffee combo box and let's increase the size. I don't know how much, but definitely it was short. You can reduce the size of your syrup list box if you like, but I mean, it's not looking untidy. So don't make it that big, but it's not untidy. It's kind of okay. So anything that's too small or anything that's too big is not the right one, right? So again, let's try. So the blue mountain was what was giving me there. We are good. So I just increased the size of my combo box so that everything is visible. And it's a little big, but you know what? It's kind of matching the little big of my syrup. So they're kind of looking consistent.
Able to go back to the code.
Code? Okay, sure. Why does it take a minute to stop? Okay, there it is. Where are we here? Okay. Okay, so let's complete that and then we'll do the delete and then we'll take a break. Okay. So we've added a flavor. We've added a flavor. We want to now remove a flavor. Are we done? Everybody with me? You know what? Let me do this. I keep forgetting that I should be doing it. Where are my Team Explorer? Okay. Let's go home. I have a few changes, quite a few changes. Let's say what did we do? We added some code, add a flavor. That is the last one I did, but of course I added Oh, not floor flavor. We also did added the about box and so on. We added code to add a flavor and show the form and so on and so forth, right? Added flavors to the coffee and syrup list and so on. So hopefully that's okay. So let's commit all. Let's do a sync. Oh God, no. Okay, I don't know why it would stop and then start to restart, but now why would that happen? Do we have the right one? Yeah, we have. Such a nuisance, right? Okay, so did we do I see one here. What does that one mean? I think it hasn't been pushed, unpublished, right? So let's go sync. And let's go push. Okay, good. So it's on GitHub now, right? So you can look for GitHub. It's called Collections Wednesday. Okay. Okay, where were we? Oh, right. The next one now. Let's do one more. Let's remove a coffee flavor. So double click on the remove coffee flavor. So by default, when you double click on something, on a, sorry, not something, on a control, it opens its default event handler. If you say, what if I want to write another one? It's not a big job at all. If you want to open another one, you go to that particular control, whatever it is, right? You go to that control, go to its properties, go to its events, and then double click in front of what you want to change, what you want to code. Okay. But by default, it kind of goes to its default one. Okay. So what we want to do is remove a coffee flavor if it exists. Now, there are a few ways of doing it. Now, the user could be typing some excuse me. Excuse me. Now, I'm doing it the easy way, but I mean, it's not the foolproof way. Usually a user, if he wants to remove a coffee flavor, he should select one from the list and say remove it, right? That's the usual thing that should be done. But as I said, your user is always dumb, right? Your user will always try to do something that you don't expect him or her to do. So for that, he may just start typing in the text box, because I have a text box that is operative. You know what I mean? Like I have a drop down style. Maybe when he, no, I can't. Anyway, so I'm assuming that it is being selected from the list, but that's my assumption. We'll write it, and then of course it's not the foolproof way. I'll add more to it afterwards, in the sense that I won't waste your time, because we've already done how to work with the text box in the ad. You know how to work with it. I'll just add the code afterwards. So I'm assuming that the user will select a flavor from the drop down list, and after he or she selects it, he'll go delete it, and then it should be deleted. So now to check if something was selected from the coffee flavor. So that's your functionality comment, remove a flavor from the list. Okay, so let's try to check. No selection made. So let's check if a selection was made. Right? Okay, so let's do, how do we do that now? So let's learn. Let's learn another property of combo box. We've looked at its count. We've looked at its collection called items. We've looked at its add method of the items. We've done a few things. Now let's see, how do we check if something has been selected from the combo box? So if coffee combo box dot selected index, if you notice, it says gets or sets the index specifying the currently selected item. So it's like the index, right? Which index have you selected? Which item have you selected? The smallest value will be 0, and the largest value will be count -1. So I'm saying if your selected index is equal to -1, that means no selection was made. Right? So -1 signifies no selection was made. So if you want to put it for yourself, so that you know what we did, that's what it means. right? If no selection was made, that means the user did not select something. Let's put a message box for him. Please select a flavor. Delete. So I'm kind of assuming. So again, as I said, wrong assumption. Don't assume anything on your user's part. Never. Always write defensive programming. So show the message box. Give a message like, please select the coffee flavor to delete. Let's give it something like, I don't know. What would you like to say? No selection made or something? Notice in titles and in headings, you kind of grammatically, there. That's strange. You start every word with a capital letter. Why is it saying, oh, because I forgot this here. There it is. And then of course your regular message box, OK buttons. And your message box icons. And again, you can choose whatever you like. I've stuck to exclamation today. And my job is done. And done. And focus back. Don't forget you're focusing, guys. It's a good user experience to have, not to use the mouse or use your keyboard. You take him or her wherever it is, right? Else means you had selected a coffee flavor. No selection made, and we'll say selection made. In the else, now if there is an add method, there is a remove method also. You can remove and remove at. There are two methods. So let's look at both the methods and you can see the difference. So there is a remove method. Let's try to get to the remove. Oh, it's not coming because I forgot my name of my collection. Okay, so notice there is a remove and there is a remove at. The remove says removes the specified item from the combo box. So it's looking for the item. The item, the remove at, removes it at a particular position. So since I have the position, I'll just remove it from the position. For the remove, I'll have to get the item from that particular position. More work. I can do it, but it's more work. I have to write more code. So since I'm at a particular position, I'll just remove it from a particular position. So you could say, I'll write both for you. You can say remove at if you like. And in the remove at, what will you do? You will give your coffee combo box dot items dot selected index. Oh, sorry. You can do this and it will work. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Or if you wanted to write it the other way, we can take your coffee combo box, take your items collection, write remove. And what do you want to do in remove? You have to pick it up now. You know the selected index, you have to pick it up. So to pick it up, you'll have to go to your coffee combo box. You have to go to its items. And in the items one, you'll have to get the coffee combo box, more work, right? And the selected index out of it. There. That's another way of doing it. Both are correct. Don't do both, but both are correct. So the first was less work because I had the selected index, so I just used it. And the second one is more work because I have to pick up the item, add that selected index, and remove it. So the two methods are available. Remove is expecting you to give the data, the text, the value, and the remove at is giving you the position. So whatever makes sense to you is fine. I'll just do remove at just because it's easier, right? So keep in mind that this is assuming that the user is going to select a flavor from the coffee combo box to delete it. That's what he or she is going to do. Okay, let's test. And of course, it's something that is not necessarily true, but let's try it. What did it say? I saw something coming up. Okay, so try to do a delete without anything. So remove a coffee flavor. It should come up saying, please select the coffee flavor to delete, right? Now, if I do something like this, which the user can do, it will say, please select the coffee flavor to delete, right? Because that's what I've told it. So now, if I do something like this, I select it, and then I go edit and remove, it's gone. But if I type it in espresso roast, I mean, of course, our users are always lazy, but there are some smart ones will say, I want to break the code, right? So I've typed it in now. I have not selected it. I've typed it in. Though it's exactly the same. Espresso roast has been exactly written the same way that is it in the list. It still says please select. So this is what I was talking about, right? A user may type it in and there's nothing wrong in it. I mean, as I said, users are lazy who would like to type it in. But the other thing I was thinking is maybe disable this text box. But the disabling is maybe the user doesn't do delete. I mean, I can't just make it disabled for just because I'm thinking the user will delete, remove a coffee flavor. So here is where my code is not foolproof. And that's what I will do. I will make it foolproof. And otherwise it is working. Otherwise it's working, right? So it's all there. Notice there is no unjuice special. What you added in the previous one has gone now because it's not saved. It's just a collection. So to do that, I just can't do this. I'll have to first check. If there is something in the text box, I'll try to delete that. Same kind of concept that you've done in add. You'll try to find it. If it is found, you will delete it, right? Or maybe his box is empty, but he has selected something. So, I mean, that's how you will do it. That's how you will do it. So you can do that. I mean, and I will do it for you. I'm just not doing it right now because we've already seen it and it's time consuming. But I'll check the text box. If it is not empty, then I'll try to find it. And if I find it, I'll delete it. So this is a way which is assuming that the user is selecting from the combo box. And that's not a right assumption at all. It's not, right? So, but it works in the sense that for what I've done, it works. So it's not incorrect in what I've written, but it is incorrect. It is not completely correct yet. I haven't taken care of everything. Right, we'll take a break here. We'll take a 20-minute break, come back in 20 minutes, please. And then we'll go further and do the other two simple ones. One was the count and one was clear all. They're much easier. And then we'll go to print. Okay. Hopefully we'll have time to do the assignment. If not, we'll at least start doing it and then complete it afterwards. Okay. Let me put this on fail to push. Oops. See the output window for more details. Maybe because I had that Windows is closing. Do you think? Let's push it. Okay. Again, failed to push. Maybe it lost the connection or something. I don't know. This is such a mess, you know. What is it saying in the output window? Let me try to restart it. Is everything saved?
Oh, yeah.